Coach Graham is what they call me. Ain't hard to find.
3rd down and 8 at the 17. Howard underneath. Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown. Jeremiah Smith.
Backfield for Arch Manning. Pressure again. And as he throws again. Lobbed up and hauled in. Touchdown, Texas, DeAndre Moore. Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown, long run.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Burning the Red Shirts. I was going to say Ethan Sowers and myself, but that's not you. You are Andrew P. Katz. I am Chris Kay. We're talking college football. A couple weeks in a row. Don't watch out now. Burning the Red Shirt, turning the tide in 2025.
You know that this is like, so everyone's just heard the new intro, presumably.
Presumably, yeah. Honestly, I wasn't really feeling a podcast, but I feel like we had to get the new intro out there.
Yeah. Do you like the prime part?
It's so outlandish. It's so ridiculous. It's awesome.
Yeah. And got to include Gus just having a heart attack because Jeremiah Smith caught a pass too.
Hey, we needed the Captain Jack Sawyer. You know, have you heard that where he like have you heard that one where he intercepts the pass
during the
against
Michigan game?
Yeah.
Looking, and it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable! Wow, Jack Sawyer.
Yeah,
He almost died.
He like died mid Jack Sawyer, and it sounded hilarious.
Which, like, watching that play is so insane. Like that, there is zero excuse for Davis Warren to miss that pass.
I mean, he just didn't see him, and he threw it right to Jack Sawyer.
But watching that play develop in real time, like who it's a backup tight end, right? That is just leaking so wide open.
Yeah, they're all starters. You go 3 deep in Michigan, they all can catch. I mean, it was so obviously simple, and he just threw it right. He didn't put any air under it. He just threw it right to him. But yeah, I like the Jeremiah Love for 98 yards. And I had said something to Zach, like, can we cut that down a little bit? Like, there's like 5 seconds of him just like running.
Yeah.
Apparently Zach had already cut it down some. I mean, but to be fair, it is 98 yards. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the new intro. And we had a 2-minute 41-second version that we cut. Thankfully, I don't think people need to hear almost 3 minutes of an intro, but. Andrew, you always do interesting stuff on the side. You put you're a big Google Doc guy. You love throwing around some sheets. You're doing conference scheduling. You're messing with some schedule stuff right now.
Dude, I've been in the lab. It's funny because I this is like very much the pattern that I follow generally every season. Like I'll lean into my data background a bunch in the off season. Especially early in the offseason, largely because there's just not much info to dig up outside of like aggregating transfer and roster level stuff, but like actually doing anything that can meaningfully impact the actions that you want to take downstream. There's just not that much to do from an info perspective. So might as well mess around with some data. And I've done different things, different years, but this year, definitely with like an eye toward trying to put myself in a good position for when underdog starts rolling stuff out. First thing I want to do is create a schedule matrix of just all the teams that were in UD drafts last year. So pretty simple, P4, and hopefully we get Pac-2 again. I feel like that is there will probably be some discussion, you would think, assuming they don't just copy paste. I would like them to copy paste because it was nice having the Pac-2 in there, but. So schedule matrix for that was, like, as you can imagine, pretty manually intensive, right? We don't have Big 12 yet, which like half the stuff that I want to do and like check is like, oh, what's this guy's schedule look like against like a Big 12 guy, of course. So took the time to create that, but then I was thinking about like, what do I want to be using when I'm drafting on Underdog, and it's not just like a schedule matrix, but having a feel for, especially with an eye toward the playoff weeks, what strength of schedules look like, and that shit, the way the way that I don't know, unless you're spending hundreds, thousands of hours, right? The way that the easiest way to kind of get there, which is not easy, in my estimation, is just looking at last year's data and seeing how these teams performed against different position groups throughout the 2024 season, and just using that as a reference point, which is how noisy is that, right? Like, it's not like these teams are, for the most part, in any way representative of how they were from one year to the next. Coaching staffs change, player turnover is insane, right? But like, still maybe directionally informative. But like, trying to put that together. So if you just think about it, like, you got your schedule matrix, you're looking at, let's say, Oregon for weeks 12, 13, 14. You want to see what is actually helpful for, in terms of like their opponents for those weeks. Not just overall defense, probably, right? And maybe not even just like how good they are against pass or run, but more so like how good are they against QB, RB, WR, tight end. So that was what I was like, okay, that could be helpful if I could get something that actually does that. So I was thinking about it and like asking around, and what I ended up doing was, I just like, why don't I just like email Fantrax support to be like, do you have this? So I did that. Yeah, they hit me back like 5 minutes later, like, you idiot. Like, you could just export CSV straight from like the player screen of like all the raw data for each week. So I did that, and I had to play with it a little bit. The most annoying part was basically, so I exported week by week from like one of our all 134 league teams or team leagues. And it's like 80,000 rows of data, like, not that bad. But the annoying thing is the opponent column is not the opponent. It's like basically a string of, this team scored this many points
against themselves,
against this team. Team A score, Team B score, with like some crap in between. So have to do like all these Excel games of like, split the column again, write a formula to compare that to the player's team, and like, so, and then like, okay, eventually net out like a true opponent column. And one of the things I didn't realize right away, which should have been obvious, was like, that opponent column is going to be worthless for FCS versus FBS games, because I'm not going to have the I'm not going to have like a column that like shows like the how the FBS defense did against FCS or something like that, because we only have, in Fantrax, we only have the FBS players fantasy points. So I was like, that's kind of helpful though. Like, why would I want like to know how FBS defenses did against FCS anyway? It's not really like actionable, and it probably is worth tossing out. So like, it's a net positive. And then like, there were some awesome, like, getting week 0 was a real pain, but it only took like an extra half hour. But then eventually I got all that data, pivoted around. It was also annoying to try and figure out a way in Excel to, like, once I got, like, for instance, how many QB points fantasy points Tulsa gave up, figuring out like the game counts was annoying. I had to like do some more Excel games with that, because I've got a zillion rows for all these players. When you pivot it all up, like, it's not just 12, because not everyone played 12 FBS games. So like, and then I had to like do lookups to like because for like the different acronyms for the team names, like all these fucking data games. End product though, I've ended up like baking that into my schedule matrix and like conditional formatting. So now I could do like really easily see and just like kind of be a drop down, like select like QB, RB, or tight end, or WR, and see like, oh, okay, Oregon, they're right now I just have it set up for like the final 3 weeks. It's like, okay, they play these 3 teams. This is how those teams performed fantasy point ranking again in 2024.
So you're saying that you pulled what players did against Oregon and then you're able to tell what Oregon. Then you're giving in terms of like a fantasy points, not necessarily like the random number that.
No, I got all the raw stuff and then recalculated fantasy points, which was only slightly different, like relative to like.
So you have like a true against team value.
Yeah, it's
pretty
not
good.
Just
some like random ranking.
Yeah, I assume there is like some. I'm probably missing some stuff. Like for instance, you know how it is with fan tracks. Like some players don't like have wrong position eligibility. Some players aren't in the system and stuff. So like, but I would say like if the goal was 2024 points by position in terms of what defense we're allowing, it's like very directionally accurate.
You know, Campus to Canton, which is the official home of Bowling with My Bestie, has a schedule matrix, or it did for last summer.
Yeah.
Is that where you concocted this idea?
Probably.
Are you a subscriber to Campus to Canton?
No.
Do you want to use the code Bestie to get 10% off?
Dude, I listened to your pod. Have you had anyone sign up yet?
Have what?
Have you?
I doubt it. You know, the content's free for a while, so I don't know. It's not like you need a subscription at this current time to listen or read the content. That will be paywall at some point.
That pod came off nice. But you've been doing it before, but it was just YouTube. Now you're on Spotify on your own feed.
No, it's just a different pod. It's just like Campus to Caching was just a pod. We were doing random shows weekly, but it wasn't like anything. We did prop stuff, and we didn't necessarily have more than a couple shows on.
Okay,
nothing official.
Yeah, no, it was a good pod. You know how I like to try and block out the noise, but like at the same time starving for content. But one thing you guys talked about that I was like, fuck, that's so true, and I'll have to try and be mindful of was basically the idea that when you're taking later round shots on receivers, like tether them to a good QB might not be a bad idea. I was thinking about like my later round receivers, the ones that hit and missed, and outside of like dumb shit happened with injuries, like it really is that clear. Like the guys who hit were attached to good QBs, and then like Jamal Banks and J. Michael Sturdivant, like they're catching fucking balls from a true freshman and Ethan Garbers.
Yeah, it's like what in hindsight is like, man, why would I ever trust, Ethan Garbers?
Right.
I drafted some of those same guys too, but yeah. So we did quarterback receiver, which was fun. I'm open to passing quarterbacks now, which is interesting. But I think my biggest takeaway from all this stuff, looking at just like straight power 4 only stuff, is like it gets pretty thin. Like these guys are like Ali Gordon was a top 25 running back, and he was like pretty bad. Maybe that was just bad relative to like what he actually should have done. But he was like the 24th running back in terms of fantasy points per game. So that to me is like, man, like it really is crazy, like how thin the pool gets.
Last year, do you feel that it felt like there was more returning production than this year?
100%.
Have you tried to measure that statistically in any way?
Not yet. No, it's not something.
It'd be an interesting exercise. I agree, though. At least like from just a surface perspective, like it does feel right.
I mean, if you just look at like the first and second rounds of drafts,
yeah,
and then you look at who was drafted in the way too early mock that we just did, which includes G5, right, with Jared and Keemsty and some other guys. Like, it is crazy the first and second round compared to last year. We loved quarterback. I think this year we love quarterback even more. I think it'll be interesting to see you for you to draft your first team and be like, wow, like I felt like I had no idea who to pick at this position, and I loved everybody at this position. Like, it'll be interesting to hear your takes on it. But
definitely,
when you see the results, I've shown you random bits and pieces of it. But I think you'll be surprised by some of these picks. And I don't think any of these picks are necessarily bad, but it's like, wow, like him in the 4th, like that feels weird. But that's just kind of where we at. I mean, that's the problem right now, right? I think one thing that I thought would be a good topic for today would be like battles and like which ones you're interested in following along the spring. And there's just so many valuable positions that are not decided yet. Do you have any ones that you're specifically looking at? I tweeted out some that we can bring up here in a second, but any that you yourself are interested in figuring out and targeting?
When did in the Jared draft, when did Baxter go?
Kind of late. I think he was in like the 8th or 9th round.
And Wisner?
I don't think he was taken.
True. What I assume by the time like we're doing real drafts, maybe not early champion series, but like UD and stuff. The only thing that derails a Baxter rise is if like he has a setback, right? Because he'll start going higher and higher and higher. The train just needs to stay on the tracks.
I'll give you one guess as to who took Baxter.
Josh.
9th round, 100th pick. I mean, that's like, I don't know. That feels great. That's like, I don't know.
By August, is he going in the top 24 picks?
No, just because I don't think we'll have a clear answer, but I think we'll have a strong lean. Like he'll be first 4 rounds, I think. Yeah. I could see whoever we get the lean on is going to be like a top 4 or 5 rounder, but I just don't see us having a definitive answer. Do you think one of them would transfer?
Maybe Wisner, but like the only way Wisner becomes interesting is 1, if you're just trying to like take shots, right? Or 2, if something happens to Baxter.
Who knows? The Texas beat writers could be thinking that Wisner is the guy all offseason when really they just confused him for DJ Baxter.
I can't believe that was real.
I hate every piece of Texas after that.
Yeah.
So Texas running back. You like Texas running back is huge. I mean, Wisner ran for 1,000. Pretty crazy, but I mean, he did it. He didn't look all that super impressive. He really did not look all that great towards the end, but there were times when he definitely looked good. I mean, isn't he a true freshman? No, he's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
So
the A&M game, he looked really cool, even though he fumbled like 4 times.
Yeah. So some of these games he was good. He was good in the pass game. He wasn't as good as Blue, but like he still was good. Yeah. Besides Texas running backs, any other ones that pique your interest specifically?
Probably not Michigan.
Not Michigan, or you think it's just gonna be such a bad offense that it won't matter? Kind of like this year with Mullings and Edwards.
I don't think Justice Haynes is good, and Marshall looked whatever in the bowl game. Like I don't know. I didn't watch that much of him, but like every carry he got, it was like, all right, this dude's getting what's there. Like what's interesting about this? But I don't know. It's just my assumption is they trot out Haynes, give him every chance to succeed, and things just kind of go whatever, and it's just not that interesting. But could be wrong.
Do you think we should have known better last year? Like, did we force? I know I didn't have that much Edwards, period. But like his ADP was so high. Do you think the community just square peg round hole this thing where it was like we should have known better? Like Michigan's offense was never going to be good with everybody gone, a Davis Warren or Orgy at quarterback. Like, why did we ever think they would continue to succeed?
Just the track record, right? Like it's tough to go out there and be like, hey, this has worked for like 6 years in a row. Now it's not going to.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I started to go ahead.
Last year, especially with like UD drafts, there were all these high-powered offenses that had multiple running backs, and that all went pretty high. Maybe not all of these, but like Ohio State, Penn State. The idea was like the idea was probably a couple things, right? Like 1, the pie's really large; they're gonna score lots of touchdowns, get lots of yards. Also, if one of these guys breaks down, the other one is just like to the moon. None of that stuff really happened. But like, I don't know. I don't love the idea personally of basing going forward decisions off of like ridiculously small sample sizes of like a couple teams from 1 year or something like that. But do you think we see a change in strategy with like, so Michigan would be like a good example of that this year, of like potentially where you've got like a couple good running backs in an offense that potentially projects to have like a lot of rush volume and a lot of fantasy points as part of that pie? And both those running backs could go pretty high, presuming that strategically things function similarly in drafts relative to 2024.
I don't know if Michigan is going to be viewed as good enough offensively.
Fine. What about Penn State?
Penn State's a good idea. Yeah, I mean they're definitely going to shift up, right? Last year they were taken in the sixth and 10th rounds.
Yeah,
and I think they moved more to like Ohio State levels, where it was Judkins was taken 3rd round and Trevion was like 5th or 6th round. I could see that being pushed up like to that level.
the mistake with Judkins and Trevion was that the team just A, couldn't run the ball, and B, didn't try to run the ball that much, right?
Yeah, there wasn't enough volume for them to not be good enough at running the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like we should have. I think in theory we could have seen it coming. Like, oh, this is a team that's stacked with great receivers, good quarterback play. They'll score a lot, but they don't really need to push it, especially at like the running back position. So, like, how many carries are they really going to get?
Yeah, I mean, that counter argument was easy to make, though. It's like, oh, Chip Kelly offense, Day loves this shit. Like, he's tough. He wants the team to be tough. Like, why? They'll run with these guys. It just did not happen, like, ever at all. Like, there was no game where they both went for 100 yards each.
There's probably no game where they both went for like 80 yards each.
Yeah, it was like it just never. Like, you basically the only time those guys had a good game is if someone broke a long one or two. And like got a couple touchdowns. So Penn State, I think it is fair to think that, like, okay, that hypothesis for 2024 Ohio State, you could project on 2025 Penn State for their running backs. But even if that's the case, assuming they both stay healthy, like, can those guys justify ADP, or is it still just a bet on like one of them breaking down?
I would not want either of them at those. I just don't know if they have the upside. Like, even when, like, Singleton would be the guy I want, not Katron Allen, because Singleton can break an 80-yarder. So I'll count me in a little bit more on that. But I think you're probably going to get to a point where it's too expensive. If like Singleton's a 3rd rounder, like, that's just not going to happen to me. I think there's going to be enough guys that have secured volume and less risk. I don't really want to play this other guy's going to get hurt game like I did a little bit last year.
Agreed.
But that's a running back battle we don't have to worry about. I just looked at the first round for just a random underdog draft. Only 2 players returned from the top 12. Nico and Avery Johnson. This is a random one. But, like, you know, Devin Neal's gone. He was like next round. Jay Knott and Evan Stewart are back, but like, I don't really want either of those two. Do you like Jay Knott this year?
I can't figure out what their offense is going to be.
Who's their quarterback?
It is either the
new
freshman kid that they took from Oregon, or they brought in a transfer recently. Let me see if I can find it.
It's just a lot of this is definitely to your earlier point about, like, earlier question about, do I feel like it's a thinner group? I definitely, and I think it's 2 parts. It's not just the guys that are gone, right? Like, obviously this feels like a loaded, like, college fantasy class that just graduated, but also guys that were in great spots are moving to spots that are not great. You know, like, these G5 stars are moving to P4 situations that are not as good. You get guys like, you know, not that I'm a Noah Thomas or Zachariah Branch, but like the example of like them leaving one offense to go to Georgia. It's like both those guys are just killed. Not that they were necessarily going to be all that great at their original, but like that idea of like going to Texas A&M, like everybody transferring to Texas A&M, or like, you know, guys like Joseph Williams going to Colorado, but his quarterback is Kaidon Salter. Like Kaidon Salter going from Liberty to Colorado. All those are situations where I'm like, just the movement has been bad for fantasy. Mateer going from Washington State to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Cal brought in your boy Devin Brown.
Oh, they did, didn't they? Yeah, that's not good. Not good.
I don't understand what their offenses can be, though, because they have Harsin, but then they have Rollo, like, just tweeting shit and like being cool. But like I don't think they're running like any sort of rollowy offense, and I don't understand what Harsin really brings to the table outside of kind of being weird on Twitter.
Yeah. They have an interesting collection of guys. So I tweeted about debates, like battles for the offseason that I think are just gonna be fun because there's so much question marks. Tell me if you care about it or not as I list them. Sluka. Care, obviously.
Of course.
Arizona State running backs. Do you care or not?
Feels important.
Whoever wins the job.
Yeah.
And then LSU receiver, obviously, is going to be ridiculously.
Is that a battle?
I think it's a battle for who's the top guy. Yeah, 100%.
But
I did a poll and it was like 23%, 28%, 21%, 22%.
But how is that something that I don't know how like I guess like just be writer reports about a guy going off or whatever. Like I like you remember how it was last year. We heard amazing things about like 2 or 3 guys. We'll probably hear the same this year. There's like at least 4 guys there, right? So maybe like as opposed to there being a clear winner, maybe there's a clear loser there. But that dude, them and Clemson are just perfect jumbo. Give me the last guy.
Just give me the last guy. Do you have a favorite of the LSU receivers right now?
Hilton.
He's going to be expensive, I think.
I know, but if it's like ridiculous, I just won't pay it.
I think I like Nick Anderson the most.
Yeah. So yeah, no Barry and Brown, absolutely not.
Never. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Aaron Anderson. I feel like Aaron Anderson will settle in like the 8th round.
I bet you he goes a little bit higher, but yeah, I don't really want Aaron Anderson.
Oh, you're probably right. So you think Aaron goes before Nick, and I agree.
I think Aaron Anderson was either the first or the second guy off the board in our way too early mock for LSU receivers.
Yeah, if Nick's there in like the teens, like early mid-teens, I'm down. I think he's awesome. I love that guy. It's not his fault that his body like was garbage last year.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the right price, I'm definitely in on Hilton.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to pay a little bit for it too. It just can't be like 3rd round pay,
Yeah.
you know, like I need it a bit. Aaron Anderson to me feels like we're drafting like KC Concepcion again, or like even like a Emeka Egbuka to an extent. Like,
yeah,
what am I really getting out of this? I feel like I'm just guaranteeing like 6 for 60 and a touchdown, which is not the worst, but like he's not going to do that every game, obviously. And if he doesn't get the touchdown, he's screwed. Or you're screwed for what you're going to potentially pay.
Yeah, I agree.
What about Ole Miss receivers? Do you think now this is one that we definitely I feel like there's gonna be debate on, but like I feel like we could just not care at the end of like it's probably not gonna matter.
In what sense? You think they just spread?
Do you think it spread around enough? And
when was the last time did they ever spread it around though?
They've spread it around enough. I mean, once Trey Harris was hurt, it's not like they went through it only to Caden Lee. You know, Jordan Watkins had insane games and then did nothing. And then like Caden Lee was great, then did nothing. Like the tight ends got a lot of action. So like I would say I'm more concerned about quarterback play impacting the value of the receivers.
I'm curious. My recollection might be off on this. I feel like Jordan Watkins was kind of hurt and banged up, and that impacted his ability to kind of just smoothly take the brunt of the Trey Harris role. We saw the peaks and the valleys. My recollection is that it was kind of due to health related stuff. I'm interested in trying to mine their WR1 though. I've always been a Striblin fan, so I would hope I'll hope it's him, and I think it's definitely possible. They brought in a bunch of guys though, right?
They brought in like everybody.
Yeah. Your boy Daquan's back.
Daquan is the tight end. Yeah.
He's a fucking monster.
I think didn't they also bring in a tight end transfer?
Let's see.
I feel like they did.
I think you're right.
But yeah, Daquan, man. Hopefully the new quarterback values Daquan.
Yeah. It sucks Austin Simmons is a lefty.
I just can't get behind lefties, man. He looked good against Georgia, though. That was kind of like it's stuck in the back of my head though. As much as I'm like, I don't know about this, but he looked good against.
They brought in Lucas. Like that makes it a little tough.
Yeah, I forgot it was Lucas. What a great player. But I can see them rocking a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Yeah, well,
not a great situation for Baker.
Yeah, they brought in so many skill guys, dude. They brought in Harrison Wallace, a JUCO running back named Trey Hall, the Akron kid Jordan Simmons, Traylon Ray, Pierce Clarkson, Deuce Alexander from Wake, Kawan Lacey, Stribling, Caleb Odom from Bama, and then Lucas.
Caleb Odom, the tight end.
The tight end.
Receiver tight end.
Yeah.
Can you believe that we're going to do this whole Louisville receiver thing again with the same names?
So it's not the same names because Brooks is gone.
Okay, so 2 of the 3 same names.
Who are the? Oh, Lacey.
And Bell.
They brought someone else in too. Bobby Golden.
I have no idea who Bobby Golden is.
The Akron kid.
I don't really know who Bobby Golden is, even after that.
I'm
not worried about Bobby Golden. If an Akron kid can win the gig, then I think everybody's in trouble.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you have a guess? Do you have a pick of Bell or Lacey?
Not Lacey if he's playing slot.
You think he will play slot? What did he play last year?
Slot.
I'm going to look that up real quick. Isn't Rondale Moore the only slot guy for Brom that's ever done anything? And we can't really compare anybody to that situation.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a bummer. I took Lacey played 152 out of 159 snaps in the slot. Wow. Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
I took Lacey.
Bell went high in that draft too, right? Bell went high in that draft.
Bell went pretty high in that draft. Yeah, I think Jared took him. I'm not feeling that one. I
know. I'm hesitant to buy in, but
I think if there's a time where they don't go to the outside receiver, it's when it's Chris Bell.
Yeah. If the cost is similar to where he went in that draft, like top 5 rounds, like I'll pass. Like that. So here's my general thought on stuff like that. The last couple of things, some of these things we've talked about, where, especially at the receiver position, the idea that like, okay, there's one spot in the system that is what you want to target. My favorite thing to do is not to necessarily like use that as a target for early round picks, but for like that is perfect for late round picks when there's lack of certainty on who that might be. And you can kind of like maybe info gather or just guesstimate or take shots on different players on who is going to be that play that role in that system. Like that is, or if someone's just slipping through the cracks, right? Like a system that historically has produced at a certain spot, like had an off year, a bunch of different things contributed to that spot in that system not being productive in one year. The next year, maybe there's a discount. Like I'm still in, like the trend, the previous like 5 years or whatever was very positive. So that is like one of my favorite things to do with late round picks for receivers. Try and see if any of those system hotspots are slipping through the cracks and find those guys and take my shots there. Instead of using like that as like the onus for like, oh, it's Brom's receiver, I'm taking him in the 4th. Brom's number 1 receiver, outside guy, I'm taking him in the 4th round. Like that guy sucks. He sucks. Yeah.
I think you're on it. It's just hard when it's Chris Bell. That's my.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right. That's not saying that you're speaking specifically to that situation, but I'm just saying like now taking that and moving it to the Louisville receiver situation. Yeah, it's just not the best. Bobby Golden played like 78% outside, by the way.
Okay.
So he has that going for him. I'm really excited about Sluka this year for a couple of reasons. Because I think he's awesome. But I also think that like there's no way that people turn on to him. Like I don't think that there's any boosting in our drafting him. We are going to draft him, and I think everybody's pretty much, they don't like him. I don't think they like him as a person. They took this whole UNLV situation really poorly. They think of him poorly because of it. So they don't like subconsciously. They're like, I don't like this guy. I'm not going to take him. And he didn't look good passing. But guess what? None of that shit matters. You know what I'm saying?
Who do you
so
think
like
we're drafting with though? We're not drafting with UNLV Twitter or with like with the lynch mob Twitter of who
there's
got paid.
I tweeted that thing out about this list about Sluka. Mox is as intelligent as they come, and he still does not like. And he called him a clown. You know, like I think people don't like Sluka, and I think we'll draft with enough of them.
Hopefully.
And
Problem is we also
he did kind of
like
we draft with intelligent people is the problem. But I think subconsciously they'll be like, I don't like him, and I think there's also people think there's enough of a battle. It's not like Sluka is like 1,000% the starter. I think there's a sliver of doubt from like this Richmond kid and this quarterback that everybody thinks is healthy, but he's really out until like November probably. That like I think even like Bainbridge is likes Barnett enough to like not be like, yes, Luke is the guy. And then I think he'll pivot to the Richmond guy once we get confirmation that Barnett's out for a while.
Yeah, the Richmond kid's the real cause of hesitancy, but I'm with you. Like you didn't bring him up.
Where do you think Sluka is going to end up like going in the first draft or two? He didn't get taken in the. He did not get taken in the way too early.
First draft or 2 rounds, 13 to 16, and then
that's just incredible value. I'm just doing that all day.
I mean, that's where he was going largely last year.
Yeah, but that was way more like closer to 50-50 than it was this year.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, what fucking bullshit that I didn't get paid off for that. Like, we got through, the dude reels off 2 Power 4 wins, has the program at like 3 or 4-0 or whatever, and then just he doesn't even get hurt. The plug just gets pulled because of financial reasons.
Yep. Yeah, that was really unfortunate is what that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sluka's going to be, I'm all over Sluka. I really hope Washington State's included, obviously. I am so in on Zevi Eckhouse. I think if there's 3 quarterbacks I'm so in on this year, it's Damon Williams, Sluka, and Zevi Eckhouse. Like I just all in on Zevi Eckhouse.
Playoff schedule is not great, which you would never believe.
Yeah, how is that? Washington State's one of those fun schedules, but the end of it's not fun.
Well, not great is an overstatement. So you're gonna love this. Apparently, somehow, you know what? I take it back. The stats say that Louisiana Tech was like good against. They were 37th overall in terms of fantasy points against for QBs, but like think about what they were playing against in CUSA. I'm sure that was a strong factor. But
oh my god!
Dude,
week
13. Who do you they
get Luka? Yeah. That's so good.
JMU was amazing against QBs last year, though, and then they get Oregon State for the second time, who was horrendous against quarterbacks.
There's nothing better than playing a team twice. On top of that, they play them twice in the same month.
Yeah, it's great.
In the second time, it's on the rivalry weekend. They're like, could give me a less dramatic game than the second time you've played somebody on a rivalry weekend.
Doing the compiling the schedule matrix, and instead of going like team by team, going week by week, when you go week by week, it really hits home just like how amazing it is that we have rivalry week as a thing. Because you like it's so boring going week by week. Once you get out of the non-con, it's like, all right, another fucking Big Ten team against.
Yeah, okay. Iowa, Minnesota, cool. All right.
Yeah, and then you get to rivalry weekends, just like all these cool things, the ACC, SEC, and like
the mixtures. Yeah,
great.
Washington State's schedule is wild. They play. Oh my god, they play at North Texas. The Apple Cup is the 4th week.
Yeah.
They have at Ole Miss, and then they go at Virginia. That's some hell of a travel. I bet you franchise is already thinking unders on Washington State with all this travel they have. They play. They go west to East Coast like 3 or 4 times. 3 times. They go 3 times. It's at Ole Miss, at Virginia, and at JMU.
The Oregon State schedule is a real trip. 8 straight games to start the year, including week 8 home against Lafayette, not UL, the Pennsylvania school. Sam Houston in week 11. Tulsa in the playoff is just like you couldn't dream it up any better.
But bye week.
Right, the bye. Are you changing your strategy at all with playoff buys this year?
I don't think so. Like I don't think I was hurt at all by it. And my teams did not perform well, not because of playoff stuff. I don't think I would have. Go ahead.
I think I maybe was a little too like I really didn't use it at all as a factor, except with tight ends. I'm thinking about weighing it a little bit more this year. I don't know that.
I think you have to take it into account, and you'll have your matrix, so you'll be able to like look at it easier. Is the big thing, right? Yeah. I will say during the season, I feel like I did a really good job of like mixing up bye weeks of like the popular ones, like 6, 7, and 10, and I never saw like a jump after week 6, 7, and 10. Like I never felt like I had this advantage by having more options. Probably not as, but I also didn't draft for like upside as much last year. When you're drafting for upside, you're going to have complete duds. You could be in trouble if you go high upside types and then 2 of them are out. One of them's hurt, and then all of a sudden you only have 3 receivers left, type of thing. So, but yeah, this Oregon State schedule is awesome.
Yeah,
at App State, Lafayette week 8, like you said. Oregon, what's up with week 4? How is week 4 pseudo rivalry week? They play at Oregon.
Yeah, I saw that both. I think it was similar last year. The same week we saw Apple Cup and Oregon State playing out, and it was pretty early in the year. I can't remember.
It was week Florida. 3 last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? I have a random thing for you. I was looking at running back stuff this morning. For P4 teams, does it surprise? What would you expect the top 25 running backs? Like, how many wins for those teams? Would you think that of the top 25 running backs in P4, how many of them had more than 6 wins? You think?
20.
There were 16, so nine running backs on bad teams. What's interesting is 2 of the top 3 were bad. RJ Harvey and Omarion Hampton playing on awful teams. I was surprised by that. The average win total was like 7.4 for everybody.
The Omarions got to a bowl game.
They did, right. That's why I said more than 6. So 6 or less.
I added more to their under on win total for UNC yesterday.
What prompted you? What made you go, you know what, I need to do more?
Talking about it in a chat, and like also just there's not that much. So there's the spring portal window, but like they brought in like nothing. And they lost. It feels like they lost a bunch in terms of talent. Like they lost the only reason that they won half their games last year in Omarion. They brought in a bunch of transfers, but they're all like backups at other schools outside of like the one they brought in that one. They stole that one kid from UConn who's really good on defense, but like outside of that, the skill positions they brought in nothing. They brought in the Purdue backup quarterback. I guess they're starting Max Johnson and his leg. We've
discussed this. Yeah, his leg.
Yeah. I don't know. That Monday night, Labor Day night game will be that'll be a tone setter, hopefully, for the season.
TCU.
Yeah.
TCU got first game for Dion, and then they got first game for Belichick. That's interesting.
I know. I thought about that too.
What other scheduling quirks did you find? We've talked about this randomly. What were some of the good ones that you found besides the
so high level stuff without the Big 12 and not including G5 So it's just again P4 and Pac-2. The buys are like pretty evenly distributed. Right now week 6 has the most with 15, and then weeks 1 through 3 it's 1 bye, 3 buys. There's like nothing in week 8. It feels like there's way more buys in week 13 this year. Only 2 last year, Oregon and Washington, and now there's 7 this year, which like from a drafting perspective is like very interesting.
That's semifinal week.
Yeah, that is like, and like, dude, so many of those teams are prime too. It's like now it's like it introduces another layer of strategy. Let me filter real quick so we can see who it is. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Oregon State, Purdue, Virginia, Indiana, BC. So maybe not so prime. But like, I don't know. I prefer Ole Miss doesn't have a fucking week 13 bye.
Well, I would like to play guys against Virginia. It's a good defensive matchup for you.
Yeah.
I wish FBS schedules included teams on bye per week. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a list of all the teams, the games, but then they don't have who's on bye. That would be really helpful.
Week 12 is week 12. We lose a bunch of good teams. Q's, SMU, Stanford could be interesting, I guess. The Rolos, your boys Auburn. Speaking of Stanford, I saw. Are you in on that Mosley guy?
In what regard? I think it'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
I was so shocked. I totally forgot that he like had like 1 week where he was like the highest scoring player in all of fantasy. Did he do other stuff?
His fantasy point per game was like fairly high. He just missed on like top 25 for P5.
I feel like I must have just tuned them out at some point because
by the end of it, he really was just as much receiver 1 for Stanford than as Ellick was.
Yeah.
He caught 48 passes for 525 yards and 6 touchdowns, which doesn't feel like a lot until you realize he didn't really play the first month.
Now he's going round 4 or whatever.
He finished his season 13 for 168 and 3 touchdowns, 6 for 63 and a touchdown, 7 for 101 and a touchdown. That's kind of like what's boosted him. I think.
It'd be nice if he was going later. The idea of Elijah Brown is very cool and perfect for like a receiver to show out, right? To see some passing game improvement relative to whatever Ashton Daniels was doing.
He's not going to be cheap. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
he's not going to be cheap. Yeah, I have a feeling that he's going to be. Who's the quarterback there? Brown?
Yeah.
The new guy. He's a redshirt freshman, right?
Yeah.
Could be good.
He's got all that, right? And he like it seemed like he kind of held his own for the most part last year when he was thrown into the fire.
That's the guy that Froton loved, right? I took him in a supplemental and he DM'd me upset. I take that as a compliment. When Froton is on somebody and he's upset that I took him, I like that. I'm in on that.
Stanford, the only team with a week 1 bye.
But they play week 0, right?
Hawaii.
Rutgers you made a great point about Rutgers. Last year we loved Rutgers because the schedule was soft. Kyle Lennon guy was going to be a stud. He was a stud. This year we are off on Rutgers, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how you could do it, man. What playoff schedule by Ohio State, Penn State? Like, what are you hoping happens there?
I don't know. It's not going to be.
Which is nice. I mean, I really didn't want to have to take a stand on like the CJ Campbell versus the other guys. So now my stand is no, thank you.
That's actually a really good point. Maybe that's the big takeaway from this is they just solved us a situation, a battle that doesn't matter anymore.
Who's the only team with a bye week 2?
Couldn't tell you.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame with the week 2 bye. Interesting.
It's kind of annoying. Like it was fun being able to rake them through the coals during the regular season for their garbage schedule, but like you can't really do it this year. They open up at Miami, by Texas A&M, host Boise,
USC.
Yeah, Q's in the playoff. Like they play a bunch of good teams. It's annoying.
That'd be good. Well, if they go 11-1, we don't, people won't be upset if they don't perform well.
Yeah.
Do you have a take on who their quarterback will be?
I am. I mean, Angeli's a Jersey boy, so rooting for him. It would be interesting to try and set odds for that. I would love a long shot odds on bringing in a transfer.
It feels like, who would it be?
Come on, you know how this works. That someone enters with a no contact tag and then magically
Immediately. Yeah, but who would it be? Who possibly could join the portal? Who's going to join the portal in the spring?
He's got to be super religious.
He's got to look like you and me.
Can't be too much of a pro prospect, but should be able to like run an offense that's good enough to get you to the playoff. Sawyer Robertson.
That's good. You know who I was just thinking? Brendan Sorsby. Doesn't he seem like a
that's nice.
quarterback?
That is perfect.
Yeah, I think that's the best I can do. Brendan Sorsby. That feels like the right fit.
Yeah.
You know who's going to be the Notre Dame quarterback in 2027? He's going to be a top 15 drafted quarterback this year. He goes to Justice's school.
He's still in high school.
No. Colton Joseph.
Oh.
I'm predicting that he transfers and will be Notre Dame's quarterback in 2027.
I can see it. He's so cool.
He fits the mold,
yeah,
small enough school, great runner, whatever, good enough passer. He fits.
Where did Sorsby go in way too early?
7th round.
Feels right. I wonder if he has another gear from a fantasy upside perspective.
Yeah, that's a good question because he didn't do a ton. I want to say he finished top 25 as a quarterback. Yeah. But they don't pass a ton. Sorsby finished actually quarterback 12. Yeah, quarterback 12 as a interesting.
Is that in all FBS?
P4.
P4. Okay.
But like if you look at like quarterback 12 to quarterback 25, there's like a 2-point difference per game.
Yeah.
He doesn't pass a ton. His saving grace is he runs enough and he scores on the ground. It's 7 rushing touchdowns.
My memory is, or my recollection is, there was a multi-week stretch also where like he's basically just playing on a bum ankle and can't run at all.
He got hurt. There was that like couple week stretch where he got hurt and he just didn't do much.
And he crushed it on the ground down the stretch.
Yeah, he turned into like a 20 carry guy, didn't he?
It was awesome. Yeah.
It was completely out of nowhere. Yeah, he's an interesting one. Luckily, his rushing stuff saves him because otherwise, I just don't know how you could possibly.
What about your boy who transferred in to be his running mate? You bet his overs like every week.
Or you got to be a little bit more clear than that. I bet everybody's overs in passing.
Tawi
Walker? Oh, yeah. My goodness. Hey, that hit a bunch.
I wasn't hating.
No. I said that hit a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. I was just thinking about who that running back could be. Kiner still there?
No. Where did Tawi go in that draft?
He didn't go.
That's so interesting because that is like cookie cutter cut and paste. Like that could be, I think that'll be nice.
The problem with Tawi Walker is he's like a 3.8 yard per carry guy. If you can't be you can't be successful enough at Wisconsin, I am fearful. His final 5 games, he went 2.7, 3.3, 4.9, 3.9, 2.6 yards per carry.
That offense was trash.
Yeah, but that's really, really bad.
But so if he's going like early teens, that is an amazing pick.
I can get behind it, but I just wish Tawi Walker was better.
Yeah, he's like, but dude, so this is a good example. Like the satback is still a thing just because Kiner didn't get that many touchdowns. Like back-to-back 1,000-yard years, like that is an amazing system for running backs. And that's not going to change this year.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. 200 carries 2 years
The
in a
most
row.
annoying thing could be like Pryor's really fucking good. They just use him in weird ways, right?
Oh, we may have lost Katz. Are you back?
Am I-
Why not go Pryor then instead of Tawi?
Oh, that's so funny. I cut out, I guess, because I was trying. What I said, I guess, off while we were disconnected. I was like, the problem is like Pryor's really fucking good.
That was my response to that. Yeah, it wasn't Nostradamus,
okay.
unfortunately.
Got it,
that was my response to it. Was like, he ran for 7.5 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns last year. I remember he looked good.
Yeah, they just used him in such a like third down, like gadgety role, right? Like, I feel like they're gonna try and keep him in pigeonholed into that.
This is, I will say right off the cuff, this is a running back battle that I do not mind taking Pryor super late on.
What is your hope and dream that he gets? Is there any way he gets 20 carries, 15 carries a game?
I think he'd get 15 carries a game.
Yeah.
He had a game where he had 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's different though. Like that is, they're playing. It's a Texas Tech game, right?
Let's see here.
They're like playing catch up, crazy game script type shit.
He, his 180-yard catch is what it was. It was West Virginia.
Okay.
But I think that's a situation where, like, how big is Corey? I mean, Corey Kiner was pretty thick with it, though, wasn't he?
Dude, did you not see there's a
5'9", 210, yeah, and probably 5'10", 198.
Tawi's 5'9", 221 when he showed up to camp yesterday.
How do you know that?
I brought it up because I saw a tweet about it yesterday.
Cincinnati does a good job of stuff on The Athletic, by the way. We'll probably have a good idea of it because of The Athletic.
Yeah, definitely. One of the, I feel like if you're comparing beat writers from outlet to outlet, like the Cincinnati guy does, he at least tries there, which is more you could say about a lot of people.
Agreed. So yeah, but I think to your earlier point about like Brom receivers or just like a position battle, that's a good late round dart throw. Pryor, I think. In the system, former stud recruit. He's a little bit undersized, but he's not like that small. 5'10", 198 is not like tiny. He's just not built like Corey Kiner. He's not that thick.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I hope and dream that Tawi's like in those like middle teen or early teen rounds. That is like when I was taking running back shots last year at the end of the draft, it was not so much like scat backy type guys and like I don't know. It was more.
Are you putting Pryor in the scat back?
Yeah.
Do you think he's that small?
I just think that's how he's used.
Well, was he used like that because Corey Kiner was not that?
Fair.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up with one final battle. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Alabama quarterback. Ty Simpson, or is it the freshman, Keelan Russell?
It sucks that Russell's not at SMU. We should institute a rule that if you recruit a kid early and then his stars start to go up, you get to keep him.
He is, and I've listened to a bunch of like freshman stuff from Campus to Canton this past week because I just have ran out of some pods. The Keelan Russell hype is huge, and I'm cool with it. I'm here for it.
What? Yeah, like what is? Have you ever watched Ty Simpson?
I mean, just the random action he got with Bama.
Yeah, he got into that. He got into the USF downpour game where they almost lost, where Milroe couldn't get a snap for us, right? And he looked dreadful. But that was, I think. But then I feel like he looked a little better this year. But like still, unless DeBoer just unlocks crazy magic. I don't know. Like there's outside of hoping for a miracle in terms of like transcending like the DeBoer system uplifting him. I'm not very interested.
He seems very average. The counterpoint to that is what you just said, DeBoer, right? Like,
right.
I feel like he could make anybody better, like significantly better.
Yeah. Are we saying Austin Mack's dead?
We're saying Austin Mack's definitely dead. He's cold.
Cool though.
Yeah, he's very cold. That body is cold.
But he's cool. He skipped his senior year. That gives him more time to develop.
Street cred. Have you thought at all about like your supplemental drafts? Like I have, humble brag, first pick in one league and second pick in another. So I've thought about it. But have you thought? I mean, you won 2 leagues, so you probably haven't touched.
No, I'm still celebrating my championships.
I think in one league I'm going to go Keelan Russell. And in another, I'm going to go Bryce Underwood.
What are you hoping happens with Underwood, that he transfers?
That he's just like that insanely good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like the thing is, I can't like, let's say that's a reach. Let's say he's probably best pick at like 5th or 6th. Like I'm not going to move back to 5th or 6th to get him there. And I'm not going to like move up to get that pick. So it's not like, it's either I take him at 102 or I don't take him at all. Who else is even in contention besides like Keelan Russell?
The idea
St.
is
Clair at Ohio State.
The running backs and receivers kind of suck this year, right?
Yeah, I think everybody loves the one Oregon receiver.
Oh yeah.
Decorian. I think it's Decorian more.
Yeah.
But I think all the running backs are kind of iffy, except like there's this FSU guy that like maybe starts because it's FSU.
Yeah.
And he's like really good. But besides that, like who else is there? I don't know. We'll have to see. So did you pick? You gonna go Simpson or Russell?
What are we picking for? Is this for
who starts week 1?
Oh, who starts week 1? Mac.
You're such an asshole.
No, I'll go Simpson.
I think so too. I think that doesn't mean he'll be starting by week 6, but like I think if you're DeBoer, you probably feel like there's enough heat on you that you need to win. And what is their schedule like? Do they have anything interesting really early that's going to push them to?
They're at Florida State week 1.
Okay, so that's not intimidating.
And then they get Monroe week 2, and then Wisconsin.
They got to have it figured out by week 5 because that's when they play at Georgia.
Right.
So that's actually good because we'll know for sure the outcome of this by then, because they're going to probably, if they're going to play Russell at Georgia, he's not going to start week 1 at like his first week of the season at Georgia. Like he's going to start before that, don't you think?
Yeah.
You're not making your debut at Georgia.
Yeah.
All right. Well, honestly, we went an hour, and really it just was so you guys could hear the intro. Thanks for sticking with us, and give us feedback. Tweet us, hit us up in Discord about the intro, and we will maybe catch you guys next week.
Perhaps.
Have a good one, guys.